Welcome, brothers and sisters. Let us give praise and thanksgiving to the Lord for another beautiful day that He has given to us. Let us praise and thank Him for the fact that He has given us a new day to live. We cannot take our lives for granted. We need to be thankful for each and every day that has been given to us. And let's give our thanksgiving also for the fact that we still have shelter and that we still have food and something to drink and clothes to wear. Let us be thankful for at least the basic necessities of life. I would say let us be thankful for every single thing that the Lord has given to us, for each and every experience, for every single moment of our existence. Let us be thankful for that. I start with Psalm number 1 to open this day with. And I have been guided to do so. So, Psalm 1, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sinneth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law and ways and paths of life of the Lord, and in his ways and paths of life and law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff with the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Amen. All right. Let us start with a new study topic today. I have been guided 2 days in actuality ago already, but the time was not yet there to bring this study topic to you. And so this morning, when I asked the Christ within me how I could be of service to the Father, and thus also to be of service to my fellow brothers and sisters, he showed me a little book that took me, quite a journey to get this. It is a book written by Samuel Bolton, titled The True Bounds of Christian Freedom. I forgot to find on the internet a picture of it. Samuel Bolton was also a Puritan. When I was searching for this book, I could hardly find it, only through eBay. So with thanks to eBay, for a very small amount, I could buy it. And this is some beautiful example of when God wants you to find something, He will make it happen so that you can find it. True Christian freedom. Well, what does this mean and what does this entail? This is a whole journey, and I will follow the Father in the parts that He finds important for us to get to know and understand. So let us start with the first steps in this journey, and let us begin with the opening of this study, which is John 8, verse 36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be indeed free. True Christian Freedom, that's the title. It is set down as a part of the sufferings of Christ, Hebrew 12, verse 3, that he endured the contradiction of sinners, and among all the chapters in the Gospel, there is none that sets down so great a part of the sufferings of Christ in this respect as this 8th chapter of John. From the 12th verse to the end of this chapter, almost every verse shows how the Jews set the pride of their obstinate and rebellious wills against his divine and infinite wisdom. There was nothing that Christ could speak, but their rebellious hearts cavilled at it and sought to thwart and contradict him in it. Yet there were some among them that the word had better effects upon. In verse 31, it is recorded that though there were many to contradict, yet some who were wrought upon, some believed. To those in particular, Christ directs himself by way of caution and encouragement, and tells them that if they continued in his word, they would know the truth, yea, and the truth would make them free. Whereupon the Jews answered, not those that believed, as appears by verse 37, for the same persons that thus answered sought to kill him. We be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Christ might have returned this impudent cavil upon them by urging them to review their former state under the Egyptians and Babylonians, and their present condition under the Romans, but putting aside their political bondage. He proves them to be in spiritual and soul bondage to sin. And sin is in actuality a consciously decided rebelliousness against God, the creator of the living light and the living love and the living life. He that committeth sin is the servant of sin. This is verse 34 of chapter 8 of John. And you said, ye commit sin. Having shown them their present sinful condition, he next goes on to tell them what would be their future doom. They must be cast out of the house, although they were now in the church of the living God. As the apostle says, cast out the bondwoman and her son. Well, who is this bondwoman? Well, that's the whore of Babylon. Who is her son? That is the Wizard of Oz, also named as Satan, or the evil one. This Christ proves by contrasting the condition of a servant and of a son. The servant abideth not in the house forever. but the uh, the Son abideth ever. Verse 35, chapter 8 of the book of John. Yet he does not leave them here under their sad doom, but propounds to them a way to prevent it, namely by endeavoring to get free. He then sets down the means by which this freedom may be obtained, and that is by the Son, the living Christ within us. Though the work is difficult, yet he that abideth in the house forever, he that is the Son, can effect it. For if the Son shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Thus have I shown you how my text is related to and depends upon the preceding words. We shall now look at the text as it stands complete in itself. If the Son shall make you free. Here we observe first a supposition. If the Son shall make you free. Secondly, a consequence. You shall be free indeed. Give me leave to set forth this truth in 4 particulars. First particular is we have a benefit expressed freedom. If the Son shall make you free. Secondly, we have the qualities of this freedom. It is a true and real freedom, free indeed. The third particular is we have the subjects of this freedom. Believers, if the Son shall make you free. And the fourth particular is we have the author of it, the living Christ within us. So Christ, if the Son shall make you free. From what is expressed and what is implied, we can draw 4 conclusions. The first one is that every man by nature and in the state of nature is in bondage. Second conclusion is that some are set free from this bondage. The third conclusion is that those who are set free are set free by Christ. And the fourth conclusion is that such as Christ sets free are free indeed. I do not propose to deal with all these matters in this discourse. It will not suit my present purpose, not that the subject of the bondage of man might not be of service. As set in contrast with spiritual freedom, much can be learned from contraries. Just as something of heaven is to be known from the consideration of so-called hell. So something of the excellency of spiritual freedom may be known from the consideration of man's natural bondage. A bondage to sin, to Satan, or better said, the Wizard of Oz, because he's fooling us, he's bamboozling us. He knows how to play with energy. He knows how to play with frequency to bamboozle each one of us. And this is magician, and to the law of God, all which is a universal bondage of the soul, a cruel bondage, a willing bondage, a bondage out of which we are not able to redeem ourselves by ransom or to deliver ourselves by our own power. The doctrine of man's bondage we shall not at present expound further, though I make some application of it later. The 4 points about freedom, however, on which I shall now speak, I will sum up in one statement of doctrine: that there is a true and real freedom which Christ has purchased, and into which he has brought all those who are true believers. This is the teaching of the text. Otherwise stated, we have here the nature, the quality, and the parts of Christian freedom. So let us look to the nature of Christian freedom. First, we shall consider the nature of this freedom. There are four kinds of freedom: natural, political, sensual, and spiritual. Natural freedom is that which is enjoyed by everything in nature. But this is not the freedom intended in the text. Political freedom pertains to a nation, a state, a commonwealth, a corporation. And it was of this that the Jews understood Christ to speak. They were Abraham's seed, and therefore free. But Christ did not speak of this. No, again, there is a corrupt and sinful freedom which we express under the name of libertinism. To this, the apostle refers in Galatians chapter 5, verse 13. Brethren, ye are called unto liberty, but use not liberty as an occasion to the flesh. That is, as an occasion to sin. It is a fearful thing when men turn the grace of God into wantonness. Such men are spoken of in the 4th verse of the epistle of Jude. There are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our living God into lasciviousness. Perhaps they reasoned thus: let us abound in sin because God has abounded in grace. Romans 6, which is fearful reasoning, not that of a child of the living God, of the same sort of men. The Apostle Peter speaks in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 16, as free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, that is to say, as a pretexter or a color to sin, but as the servants of God. It is evil to sin, to do any act of maliciousness, but much more so to cloak or cover it, and much more again to make Christian liberty the cloak of sin. That is most damnable. To make religion, to make the truth of God, to make Christian liberty so dearly purchased a cloak or pretext to sin, or to take occasion to sin by it, is a fearful sin. But of this Christ does not here speak. This is our bondage, not our freedom, as I shall show you later. It is a spiritual and heavenly freedom of which our text speaks, a freedom purchased by Christ, revealed in the gospel, and conveyed to the saints of God as the great dowry of Christ to his church and spouse. Two great things Christ has entrusted into the hands of his church, Christian faith and Christian liberty, just as we are to contend earnestly for the maintenance of the faith, Jude 3, so also for the maintenance of Christian liberty, and that against all who would oppose and undermine it. So stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free. Galatians 5 verse 1. Very like this is the exhortation of the same apostle. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 23. But of this I shall say more hereafter. In general, then I say, the freedom into which Christ brings believers is a spiritual, a divine freedom. A freedom contrasted with their former bondage. If this is certainly understood, it will explain what Christian freedom really is. So let us go to the quality of Christian freedom. Now we come next to inquire what is then the quality of this freedom. One quality is mentioned in the text. I shall add two more to it. First, it is a real freedom, not an imaginary or fancied freedom. No, too many imagine themselves to be free who are really in bondage. But this is no imaginary freedom. It is a freedom indeed, a true and real freedom. Whom the Son makes free are free indeed. Again, it is a universal freedom, a freedom which does not leave us partially in bondage. Christian liberty frees a believer from all kinds of previous bondage, but we must beware of taking any part of our liberty for our bondage or of our bondage for our liberty. Too many do so. We were then in bondage to Satan, to sin, to the law, to wrath, to death, to antagonisticness. By this privilege we are freed from all. It is a universal freedom, universal in respect of persons, believers, universal in respect of its parts. We are free from all that was or is anyway part of our bondage, free from Satan, free from sin, free from the law, as I shall show later. Then, too, it is a constant freedom. A Christian is brought into a condition of freedom, a state of freedom, as previously he was in a state of bondage. Wherever the Lord's Jubilee is proclaimed and pronounced in a man's soul, he will never hear again of a return to bondage. He will never again come under bondage to Satan, the law, or aught else. This is implied by Christ in the words, "The servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever." John chapter 8, verse 35. The apostle expresses the same truth under the figure of an allegory when he says, Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. Galatians 4:22. Here he distinguishes between those who are under the law and those who are under the gospel, the children of the bondwoman and those of the free, the heirs of promise and the servants of the law. The one must be cast out, says Paul. Likewise, Christ speaks here, the servant abides not in the house forever. They shall not inherit, but the Son abides in the house forever. The sons shall inherit, shall enjoy a perpetual freedom, and shall never again return to bondage. So, as last, we say here the branches of Christian freedom. We come now to consider the third thing, propounded, the branches of this Christian freedom. But before I speak of this, I must necessarily tell you that freedom in general has two branches. First, there is inchoate freedom, that is, the freedom we enjoy during the days of our pilgrimage here on earth. Freedom in grace is the second. Consummate freedom, that is the freedom of our Father's house, freedom in glory. So now we shall speak chiefly of the first inchoate freedom. And the next time we will go into freedom in its negative aspects. This is a very, very long chapter. So the Father told me to take this as an introduction in the journey of this teaching that is all about the true Christian freedom. So with this said, I have come to the end of this first step in this journey. And the Father also has guided me to the text of Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 5. This is all about the Beatitudes. And let us remember these Beatitudes again and also practice in our daily life under the guidance of the Christ within us. So Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 to 16. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught him the following. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Ye are the salt of the earth. But what if the salt have lost his savour? Wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. And as last, Jesus is saying today to us, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And with this verse, Jesus is in actuality speaking to us that let his shine in and through you, so that your fellow brothers and sisters can see the work of Christ in and through you, that he, the Christ in you, is doing in and through you. And also is this verse telling us that as we start to see our fellow brothers, sisters, as Christ sees them, and thus through the eyes of the Christ within us, then we shall see the living God in each one of us, and all damnation shall stop. And all forms of discrimination that we do to one another to hurt, in actuality, one another, shall stop and shall cease to exist. Christ within us is teaching us to see one another in and through his eyes. All right, and with this said, I have come to this day's teaching for today. I close off and I will go to the end screen. And with this, I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for listening, for tapping into this day's teaching, for tapping into this channel. Thank you so much for it. I wish you all a beautiful and joyful day that is filled with a lot of truth, wisdom, revelation, love, and discernment. And if the Christ within you places upon your heart to be there for a fellow sister or brother, please honor this call and ask the Christ within you how you can be of service to your fellow brother, sister. All right, as last I say, let us listen to a beautiful piece of music from Band Sound. And God bless you, and see you with the next study reading. All right, thank you so much, and God